Hello, this is Jace Fugate again with another session of the Introduction to the Go Programming Language course. We're going to be continuing the topic on arrays, and we're going to be talking about one of the reasons why arrays are so useful. It's not only just something that you can hold multiple values in one place, but you can actually loop over all those items. In my opinion, this is where the power of having an array of something comes in. So I have two examples up here of how you can use looping over an array to do something that you would like. So in this first example, we created an array of 3 items type string. And again, we could have done it this way. We could have put 3 dots so that we just inferred the size. And again, it wasn't 3 dots because there's 3 items. It's just 3 dots because that's the syntax. I could put in here my name, and it would work just fine, even though I'm not a famous person here. But when this runs, what this is going to do is it's going to create this array. Let me comment this out so when we run it, we don't see the output of the other loop. So it'll create this array, and then what it's going to do is it's going to say, okay, we're going to start a for loop. We're going to initialize a variable to equal 0. And then we're going to say we'll run this loop as long as I is less than the length of names. Again, I showed you in the previous video the len command. It prints out, or it returns, the length of an array. So as long as I is less than the length of the array, run this loop. At the end of each loop, let's increment I. So what this will do is this will run through and print out each item in the array. There we go. It went through and did index 1 first because I equaled 1, and then it went, index 0 first, doing the first element, and then it incremented I to 1, then to 2, then to 3, then to 4, and if you remember, we can't index 4, right? Well, that's okay, because once it got to 4, it said that, oh, well, 4 is not greater than the length of names, because the length of names is 4. So I will bail out and continue through. So once this gets to 3 and tries to increment to 4, it will bail out. And so that's one way that we can loop through and use a loop with an array and print out or access every element in the array. We have another example right down here that does a similar thing, but instead of just printing out each item, we actually will sum all of the items together. So we have an array of 4 items, and those items are all float 64s. And then we initialize another variable called sum, and we initialize it to 0. So this is the same right here. We took a literal integer 0 and it converted it, or casted it into a float 64. We could have done this as well. This would have been the same thing. This would have given us the same thing. And so we do a similar loop as above. We initialize a variable to 0. If you were to initialize this to 2 or to 1, then you would just miss out. You would skip out on the first couple. But we initialize it to a 0. We then say we're going to continue this loop as long as 1 does not get bigger than our length. And then at the end of each loop, we'll increment. And so what this does is it takes sum, and it adds sum plus the item in the array at whatever index I is. We could have done this. We talked about this operator before. Plus equals. That would work the same. But let's go ahead and run this. There you have it, the sum of all the elements in the array of 3.7, 7.2, 4.8, and 9.5 is 25. So there you have it. That is one way that you can iterate over an array with a loop. And then there are 2 examples that we did. One that we just printed them out, and one that we actually used those numbers to create a sum of the whole. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you again.